Hey, John. Sorry, Tony. It told me John was here and I didn't see you.
No biggie. Hi, John.
I think we have at least 2 so far that won't be making it. So we'll see. There's Mark.
Hey, Mark. Do you know, Amanda, do we have access to the Dun and Bradstreet like industry ratios and stuff like that?
I can look into that.
I was wondering maybe Jackie does. I was just thinking I
Should.
calculated a bunch of financial ratios for Go Net Speed. I didn't see anything that worried me. I was just gonna see whether usually with Dun and Bradstreet you can get like typical ratios in per by sector,
Okay.
and I was just gonna look and see if they're roughly in line, just because I don't have a feel for if they're how they compare to other ISPs basically. So
Okay.
it's not a big deal. I was going to ask Jackie. I didn't get a chance to. And I got a chance to. I just forgot. So
No worries. There's a lot going on. Yeah, I can queue up an email with Jackie to get that going, and I can assist her.
yeah, I mean, if we don't have it, it's not a big deal. I didn't see anything that troubled me in their financials. It was more out of curiosity if we had access
Yeah,
to
for sure.
to the data, it'd be good to compare them. But
I think we should, but you're right. She would probably know off the top of her head better than I.
well, let's hope hopefully this is not indicative of how many people we have. It's gonna be awful
Still got
long.
5 minutes.
Yeah,
We'll call it 10. A 5 after start, at least.
I know, but we really kind of need.
Yeah, I agree.
Wonder if we can do if there's a mechanism in Vermont law to allow voting by email.
By proxy, there definitely was while COVID happened, and I have to look to see if that rolled back, because
Yeah,
we did do that during the peak of COVID
My
for emergency
suspicion is-
sessions.
My suspicion is that would have been rolled back, but
Yeah.
it wasn't part of normal proceedings. Just because we're going to need, I think we need the board to basically okay us to go forward with talking to these companies. So
Well, that and paying contractors. So Jackie has a
Yeah,
full warrant.
somebody has to pay the warrant. Yeah. I thought the executive committee has the delegation,
They do, they just need a quorum, and they
warrant,
didn't.
but we didn't get a quorum,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah, and that's not just selfishly serving, but there are.
no, I'm not. Peace.
Putting my email, but yeah, I think that's a subset of open meeting law, so I'll check on that. Hi, Mark.
You're on mute, Mark. You're still on mute.
There you go.
There you go.
Go.
Wow.
Third time's the charm.
Am I your only customer? What the,
John is on.
John's on. Okay. Hopefully we can get aboard. The quorum.
I hope so, because we have stuff to do.
Yeah. All right.
Hopefully no dogs today, but I can't promise anything about the cat. She's the loudest cat I've ever had. I don't know if you can hear her. Well,
Oh yeah.
Is it raining where you guys are?
say again?
Off
Is it
and on. Yeah.
raining?
Yeah, it rained.
It poured.
I was able to get the lawn mowed.
Oh,
I came in the house and it started, the skies opened up. It was
yeah, okay.
Oh, look at that.
Larry,
Look at that. We're making progress 1 minute before.
There you go.
Hey, Larry.
Larry.
Muted.
Oh, 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 oh.
You got two. Got two. here.
Sunderland in the house. Sudbury, sorry, not Sunderland. Uh-oh,
Hey, Bill.
that's Bill.
Yeah.
Oh, Chris is actually making it. It's wonderful. He said he wasn't going to be able to. 2, 4, 5, 6.
Mhm.
Oh, we're
in
getting
time.
close.
Did you guys have a quorum at last week's meeting or no?
We
No.
did not.
Okay,
I think we were.
I was going
one
to email you
short.
that, Chris. I just figured I'd email you about tonight. Same time. I apologize.
well, I got back early enough, so I said I can jump on because I figured you probably need the help with a quorum.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You just make it.
Hmm.
1, 2,
6, 7.
6.
Mhm.
Almost.
Close. We're getting there.
Hey,
2
Laura.
more. Hey, Laura. Hey, John. How's the knee?
8, 9. Jackie and Andrew are joining right now.
Oh, look at that.
9.
All right.
Mhm.
So we need a 10th because we have 18 towns.
Mhm.
Tim, 10.
Oh, there you go. Tim said he was coming, so that's good. All right.
There you go,
Hey.
Tony. See, your wish came true.
What was my wish? Oh, about the quorum? Yeah.
Yeah, by the phone.
Okay. Amanda, can you make it so I can share?
Yes.
Or actually, or do you? How about you just share that? Can you just share the agenda just so that
Yeah, I can do
you can
that.
look at it, please? And we can
Stay on this real quick.
get we're going.
When
Mhm.
Okay, everybody. We're 10 members, or 10 members from 10 different towns present. I'd like to call the meeting of the Otter Creek Communication Union District to order. I believe the recording's already started, right, Amanda? And the transcription as well. Is that correct, or when? Maybe not. The other item about this is Jessica, who's our secretary, is not here, so it would be much appreciated if someone could volunteer to take or to clean up the transcript and publish a set of meeting minutes. That would be greatly appreciated.
Laura, you're muted.
Sorry about that. So I'll volunteer. I'll take minutes now and then I'll take a look at the transcript
Thanks,
and
Laura.
I'll provide some minutes.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to number 2 on the agenda, approval of the agenda. So the agenda tonight is call to order, approving the agenda, approving our previous meeting minutes, the executive committee updates, which we didn't have a quorum for last week, but we can certainly talk about the RFP for partner and where we're at with that. And I think it's appropriate for us to be asking for a motion and an authorization to go do some stuff with that. Updates for VCBB, VACUDA, and any other business. Would anybody like to?
I would make a motion that we approve the agenda as sent.
Second, Larry.
Thank you, Bill and Larry.
Hmm.
All those in favor of approving the agenda for tonight's meeting, signify by
Aye.
saying aye, please.
I,
I,
Any opposed? Okay, guys have it. All right, previous meeting minutes. So we did not conduct an official meeting in July because we didn't have a quorum for that meeting. But there are minutes attached if anybody has any amendments or additions or changes that they'd like. It would be great if you can talk to Jessica, who is the one who put them together for us. But I don't believe we need a vote on that. Questions, thoughts, comments? Okay. Moving on to number 4 for the meeting agenda. We, as you know, we had asked for some clarifications to the responses that we got for the RFP that we issued in April. We got the clarifications from the companies last week, I think the 10th it was, so last Wednesday. We as a subcommittee met on Friday to discuss the responses to make sure that they were the answers that we got were responsive to the questions we had. Also to see if there were any additional questions that were brought up by the respondents' answers. There was a little bit of homework from that meeting, and Tim reported back today that he was satisfied with his little bit of homework on that meeting. So the responses were satisfactory to the committee. And I think we're in a position to recommend that we move forward and try to come to an agreement with these companies. Actually, probably one or more agreements, actually. So I'd like the other folks who were part of that meeting, so that would be Laura, Bill, and Tim, to sort of just chime in, and I'd like to have some time for folks to ask questions, other members of the board ask questions, of any of us to make sure that you have a chance to air any concerns or questions or comments that you might have.
So a couple other points here. So Consolidated or Fidium has made 2 proposals, one to do the whole network and 2 to only do in their service area. So we'd be potentially negotiating both of those. And then the Shoreham or GoNet Speed is essentially only their current network. So it's basically Hubbardton, Sudbury, Benson, and the north part of Castleton.
Right. And we didn't, speaking for myself, we didn't find anything that would disqualify either of the companies from proceeding to some, to negotiating with either of them. So what I was what I was hoping is that we could get a resolution to authorize us to inform both of the companies that we found their found their answers responsive, and that we'd like to set up some meetings to see if we can come to some kind of an agreement to work with them.
I would like to ask you, Tony, you were speaking about that Google reached out to you late.
Correct.
Has anything happened with Google?
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about this in the informal executive committee meeting last week. Google hasn't actually put anything concrete in front of us.
Right.
What they've done is they've described how they are planning to work with Lamoille and Northwest CUDs. They described in general like how much money they would want to contribute. They described the business model to us. But the couple things. One is, in order to work with them, we'd have to stand up our own company, right? Because we'd have to finance the network, because their contribution would be over the course of, I think, 20 years is what they've told us. So that is a big change to the way we were planning on doing this. I mean, there would be some advantages to it. The other piece of information that I think is relevant for the board to know is that Amanda and I had a very quick meeting with Eli, who's our lawyer, that they're on, I forget the name of the firm, but they're on retainer with us to help us navigate this. And we explained the situation with Google and the fact that they had not responded to the RFP, even though that we had shared the RFP with them and asked them if they would respond. And he counseled us that it wasn't really keeping with the spirit of going through an RFP process if we were to sort of throw that out and go with a different company. He said, it might be different if the RFP process had failed. In other words, that we didn't have a viable, one or more viable candidates with the through our due diligence and review of the responses to the RFP.
And
that's not the case right now. If that does become the case because we can't reach an agreement with either or both of these companies, then we always have that as a potential option.
Okay.
Does that answer your question, Mark?
You sure did. Very thorough. Thank you.
Okay. Any other members of our little subcommittee would like to share anything from what we discussed or found or talked about in any of our little meetings?
Yes, this is Bill Moore. I guess I speak, definitely it's been a process, and Tony and company, Laura and Tim have been fantastic. Me to a lesser extent about going through this, line by line, spending time on these meetings. And, not to sound like a broken record, just as a reminder, this seems to be sort of our quickest way to solve the issue of lack of broadband access, is to partner with an incumbent. That's been sort of the way the signs have pointed at since the beginning. Certainly my time as chair when we first started, and moving forward, it's just all signs point to making this happen as quickly as possible. And working with these incumbents seems to be the best way to make that happen in a most economically efficient manner.
Yeah, I mean, we created the RFP with the, this plan in mind. I would have liked to have had more respondents to the RFP. But we're where we are, so.
All right.
I can
Laura?
just mention, the items that I sent you guys after I missed the meeting from my review, and this has been my concern and something I've noticed throughout is that there are still some discrepancies between eligible addresses, underserved addresses. However, I think CCI had their statement is that they intend and want to work with Otter Creek CUD to confirm and validate the addresses. It's just we have not really figured out, exactly what that process is. I've provided information that I know. I think, we may just be, maybe as we move to the next steps, I haven't really discussed with you guys, but we'll just have to see how we're actually, figuring out these last item. I consider these kind of details, especially as CCI did update their maps to show like the area of my town that I was concerned about. So they've shown that they've actually shown more of an area that I think is actually not eligible. So there's a few things like that, but
Yeah, I agree with you, Laura. There's certainly, I kind of think of I sort of think of the issues that we have to tackle in sort of two big buckets, right? One is strategic, right? Are we getting to, do we have any, are we on the right path in general? Do we find any fatal flaws in anything that the company submitted? Is there anything that we think we're missing from our strategy or our approach to this? And then the second bucket, which I would class these things like the maps and stuff like that. There's going to be quite a lot of detail engineering that has to go into this once it gets done. And I think, that's the more tactical type stuff that we're going to all have to help figure out as we go along. Along those lines, we did get a list of was it 49 addresses? Is that the number?
There was initially
Anyway,
89 and then it was boiled down, but it's a discrepancy with the state level
yeah,
data.
well, there was like there was a bucket of addresses that CCI in their proposal had called very remote or something. I don't remember the exact terminology, but it was under 100 addresses spread over a few different towns, and we're going to need to parcel those out to the different members from those towns to just have them, see whether or not they are actually like grid connected properties or,
right.
That kind of stuff. So I would class this as, that's kind of the work that we have to do for our own due diligence to ensure that we are achieving universal service, right? Because last thing we want to do is leave a road out or leave a group of folks out and then have to do, catch up work that we hadn't planned for or budgeted for. So,
Right.
okay. So I guess my request to, I guess two things. One is, would anybody like to hear any more discussion right now before I ask for a motion? Okay. So what I would like to ask, and I apologize, I should have written this down. But what I would like to ask for is permission from or approval from the full board to inform these two companies that we've found their responses to be acceptable and that we would like to start the process of negotiation with both of them to see if we can come to one or more agreements with them to, achieve universal service for our constituents. That's probably an inelegantly worded resolution, but that's kind of what I'm aiming for. And I'm sure somebody on the board can help me say it much more smartly. So.
But you want a motion. So like if I was to say it, I'm not going to put the language together either, but so I make a motion to, I didn't write anything down, to accept, as Tony described, to
There you
move
go.
forward with the responses from the RFPs with both companies to
Yeah, I think
develop an agreement.
the critical things that I would like in the motion is that to inform both companies that we found their proposals acceptable, to at least start negotiation, that we'd like to start negotiation, the process of negotiation with both of the companies. And I would like the board's approval to allow a subcommittee of the board to do this work, or to embark on this work, because I think we are going to need help, right? We'll need help from the lawyers. We have budgeted some help for consulting if we would need it with negotiation. I don't see this as the way I look at this is we would definitely come back. We definitely have to come back to the board before we would consummate any kind of agreement. But I'd like us to start on the process of negotiating two agreements with these two companies.
So I would just suggest I think you stated really two things. One is the motion to inform both companies that we're accepting their proposals. And we want to move forward with negotiations. Like you said it, Tony, we should probably get this written down.
I don't think we want, sorry.
And-
I don't think we want to say we accept their proposals. 'Cause
Yeah.
we don't want to accept
Okay.
proposals. We want to negotiate their proposals.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
found their proposals to be responsive to our RFP, and we'd like to start the process of negotiations with them.
Yeah,
It's
to our RFP. Okay. Yeah, we're working out the language now. This is good. Amanda.
like
you
I said, I
have something to
apologize.
say?
I should have worked out the language ahead of time, but
No,
I
that's
appreciate your
okay.
help.
That's why we're all here. And we want to move forward with negotiations. Yeah, careful with our language.
Yeah.
But I would say the second thing you asked for was that you want a subcommittee developed, so maybe we can make those two separate motions.
Well, I don't think that's
It's not important.
well, that's not that. I just don't. I think it's I think it could be very cumbersome to try to get 18 people in a meeting.
No,
with
totally
the
agree.
with the different providers, two
Mhm.
sets of meetings. And so I think a group of 3 or 4 folks, 5 maybe, I don't know, something on that
Mhm.
order would be more agile and more able to do the work and respond. I don't want to exclude anybody. That's
Mhm.
certainly the case.
Mhm.
But I think it might be counterproductive to try to have every member attend every meeting with each of the 2 potential providers.
Right. I'm just trying to get your words into emotion so we can.
So
Does the forming a subcommittee need I don't think that needs to be part of this other motion. I think you want to keep the motion for moving forward with the two vendors, I guess Vidim and Go NetSpeed. And I do like the clarification of the language where it stipulates that we're not accepting anything, but we found their proposals inviting enough that we would like to work those details out. You know, we would like to negotiate the terms and conditions and all that other good stuff that's going to need to be done. And then separately, I think you can talk about forming a committee.
Thanks, Chris.
Yep.
Okay, so sounds like the first motion, or do you think you have it down, or that you'd be able to make it?
Sort of, more or less. So I make a motion to inform both companies, Go NetSpeed and Consolidated Communications Incorporated, that we have found their RFPs responsive, or we have found them responsive to our RFPs, and we want to move forward with negotiations.
Okay.
Keep it that simple. Is
Yep.
there, and you can ask for a
Any
second.
questions or
Or-
was that a second?
Yeah, I second that, Tony.
Thanks, Tim. All right, so discussion.
I'll be anxious to see what especially Go NetSpeed comes back with, you know, for the area in Hubbardton. I would hope that if they can't do anything up here, that, you know, they relinquish, because they obviously have all the pole space up here. There's only, you know, the copper DSL that's up here. Lousy old phone service, I guess is what I'm saying, but you know, that they wouldn't have a gripe with somebody else, you know, taking advantage and doing that. But obviously that's going to be part of the negotiation and whatever, to see how that comes out.
Yeah, Chris, my hope is that we would keep that door open with CCI as well, since they made that an option in their proposal.
Yeah.
And that helps to motivate Hotelco, Go NetSpeed to be more, I don't know, solution focused.
Yeah. My only concern with them is because I live here, you know, like in particular where I live, from a business standpoint, Go NetSpeed would never put fiber in here. There's not enough houses. They would lose money that they would never be able to recoup for too long a period of time. So, you know, obviously part of negotiation is they're going to say, well, how do you offset that? But we're not going to solve that here. But
Right. Well, what their proposal was that, you know, we roughly, you know, that it's a 50-50 endeavor, right? That be 50% would be from state funds, 50%
Yep.
from their contribution. So,
that could be the difference. That could be.
Yeah, I
Yes,
mean,
I mean,
they
that-
are planning on putting fiber in if we negotiate and go forward with them. That's their.
yeah, and they have said that they're both proposals are for fiber.
And that was specifically in Hubbardton, Sudbury, Benson, and North Castleton.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, that's the area I'm talking about. Yep.
Yep.
Well, perfect. That's the only discussion I had.
Okay.
Can I ask Tony and Amanda, you might help. I've asked this before. It's just the process I don't understand is when does Otter Creek City engage VCBB? Is that during this next step when we start to negotiate with the
Well, so
respondents?
I guess you would say we've already engaged them, right? Because VCBB is the one who granted us the pre-construction grant,
True.
right? And they would be the ones who, once we came to, a heads of agreement with one or more of these providers, and we were in a position where we wanted to apply for a construction grant,
Mhm.
right, which is where the bulk of the money would be, then we would be engaging with them, obviously, to ask for the grant. But we have periodic meetings with them, Laura. I'm invited to their board meetings. I attend when I can. I'm happy for others to attend as well. I know Larry keeps up with them. We do. I mean, they send us emails quite often, ask us for information, ask us to. We've been working with them as an example to get one of our government website registrations correct so that we can receive the grant money, as an example.
Mhm.
So they know what our general plans are. We've talked to them in very broad strokes about what the proposals sort of propose. We haven't shared anything. We're not allowed to. But we've told them directionally where we're going. And
I
they're,
would say that they're never not engaged because a lot of this depends on their involvement or especially the funding in the sense of the addresses that are approved for funding we get from them. So if there are any discrepancies with addresses, we have to work with them. CCI works with them, like all the providers work with them. So there's a lot of, there's constant interplay with all the players currently. So I would say they're never really not involved. It's just, I guess, the degree of involvement in terms of data, but they're actively involved, Laura.
Okay. I only read their meeting minutes and I don't see that much. I don't know if there was, I mean, I know when we got our pre-construction grant. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
approved by them, so.
well,
Okay, just,
but yeah, I don't want to. I mean, obviously, we're not going to hit them cold with a grant application for $10 million or something like that. We're gonna we'll be talking to them before that. So
I see. Okay, thank you.
any other discussion or questions before we move to a vote on this motion?
This is Eleanor Jones from Wells. Can I ask a question?
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know a lot about this project. So basically, just for me, representing Wells, and hearing you say a few minutes ago that there were 100 or so locations that were going to be difficult to connect. Does that, what I want to know is they're going to be connected even if it's difficult, right?
Correct.
Okay, that's what I want to know is for my town, is everyone going to get this benefit? That's what I want to know.
Well, so what we're required to do, Eleanor, is provide, and folks can, like Bill or others can jump in if I misspeak, but we are required to provide a universal service plan. All right, that universal service plan is how we are going to provide an internet connection, fiber-based internet connection to every grid connected premise that is classed as underserved or unserved by the state. Now,
Okay.
the definitions for underserved and unserved are, unless folks can kick me back into bounds if I go astray here, but my recollection of the numbers for underserved is anyone who doesn't have a connection that is at least 25 megabits per second download speed and 3 megabits per second upload speed. And unserved is anyone who does not currently have a connection that's at least 4 megabits per second download and 1 megabit per second upload.
Can
Did I
you
get
say
anything
both of
wrong?
those numbers? Could you repeat both of those numbers again? Just quick.
It's 25.3 is underserved and 4.1 is unserved.
Okay, and 25 is download or upload?
Download.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Did I get
the
anything
other one
wrong?
was 3.1,
4.1.
4.1.
4 down,
Okay.
1 up.
Okay, thank you.
So just be careful, because if someone has a connection that is better than that, then we may or may not, if we have to pass their house, then they'll have access to fiber, right? But if they're on a road that we don't have to pass because everybody on that road has a connection that's better than 25.3, they may not get fiber from this project.
Okay.
Right.
And
That-
the study that was done, I guess, in the last year, did that evaluate many locations for the transfer speeds that they have right now?
So we have maps from the state that tell us basically down to the building level what the download and upload speeds available to each of those premises is.
Okay, thank you.
And we can give you links to those maps. They're from the Public Utility Commission.
And let me just add a caution that there are inaccuracies to those
Yeah,
maps.
there are. That is true. But there are, but they're the maps that help us, that the state dictate how much funding we get, right? So, okay. Any other questions, or comments, concerns before we take a vote? Okay, so let me see if I can do this, and Laura, you can kick me back into play if I get the wording wrong. But I guess the motion on the table is to allow us to inform or to approve informing both GoNetspeed and Consolidated Communications that we found their responses to our RFP, or that we found their proposals responsive to our RFP, and we'd like to start the process of negotiations with both of them. Did I get anything wrong, Laura?
I think that sounds good. I'm writing it
Okay.
down as fast as I can.
Okay. Last chance for any comments or questions. All right. All those in favor, please signify by
Aye.
saying aye.
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 Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. All right. All right, so we'll get together a letter to each of the companies informing them that we want to start the process of negotiating with both of them, and we'll keep the board and the executive committee informed of our progress. Like I said, we would obviously get approval before we can enter into any kind of an agreement with either of them. So you'll have more bites at the apple. So.
Great.
Okay. All right, moving on to number 5.
Tony, did you want to
Yes.
make the second motion? I mean, do you want somebody to make that second motion about
Oh, to
developing
form the subcommittee.
the subcommittee? Or do you want to, just reminding him?
No, that's a good reminder. Yeah, I would like, it would be helpful, I think, to have a small subcommittee to conduct these meetings with both GoNetspeed and CCI. So,
Want me to make it?
Sure.
I'll make a motion that we, as a board, form a small subcommittee to work on the negotiations with GoNetspeed and CCI.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Thanks. Any discussion, comments, concerns? Anybody want to volunteer to be on the team?
I will.
I'll volunteer.
I'd probably continue just from the review group.
Okay. So I heard Laura, Eleanor, who else? Was that
Tim.
Tim?
Yeah.
Tim. Okay. I'm happy to have one or two others if anybody else is interested. I'm also happy to have folks drop in periodically, to check in if you can't be a full-time member of the subcommittee. Like I said, I want to make sure everybody has a chance to understand what's going on and to give their input if they need to. So
Can I
Great.
ask, Amanda is our fearless project manager going to join that subcommittee?
Yeah, Amanda.
I'll
is-
help organize and keep
is-
things going and
Definitely
documents.
helps us organize and make progress and all this stuff. But she's not a member of the board,
Yeah.
Laura, so
Oh, that's right. Yeah, right.
I didn't really think.
No. I understand.
So I would like to make a request that when you have these meetings that they get communicated to the group. Because I probably, if I can get the time, I probably will attend some of those.
Okay, that would be great, Chris. We will make sure that when we have these meetings, we publish the time and date for, and we circulate the time and date for to all the board members.
Thank you.
Okay.
Perfect.
So Amanda, could you please just note that when you. Okay. Any other discussion before we call a vote? Anybody else dying to be on the subcommittee? Okay. So all those in favor of forming a subcommittee to conduct the negotiations with GoNetspeed and CCI signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. I don't hear any no's. So it appears the ayes have it. Thank you very much. All right, VCBB. I don't have any big updates from VCBB. I mean, I've had a couple of calls with Rob Fish over the course of the last couple of weeks, but I don't think there's anything significant that. Am I missing anything, Larry, that you know of?
Yeah, VCBB, they always have someone that attends our OCCUD meeting, so it's kind of a mixed report on my part. So I can kind of throw some stuff in there from VCBB when I do the OCCUD.
Right. Okay. I don't have any other
Maybe-
VCBB updates though. So. Yes, Laura.
Tony, I might suggest that one thing I found interesting in checking out their meeting minutes is that they are negotiating with Southern Vermont with
Yeah,
CCI who I think they have a similar kind of organization. I mean, organization isn't the right word. Similar way that they're
They have a similar strategy, right?
Similar
um,
strategy, thank
to
you.
what
Yeah.
we're embarking
Yeah.
on. So
So it's kind of
um,
interesting to see what comes up.
yeah, we've had a couple of discussions with Southern over the course of the last couple of months, just to sort of make sure we're keeping abreast of what they're doing. They were supposed to, I believe, last Monday. They were going to VCBB to apply for their construction grant, but my understanding, and Larry, I believe you told us this last week as well, is that that was tabled, and they'll have to wait till at least the next meeting. I'm not sure what the issues were, but it sounded like they weren't quite ready.
I thought they got approved, but I'm not
Did
positive.
I misunderstand something?
I think there's some details they're still working out. There is some level of approval, but I think with all of these, it's going to be a continual process to a point.
Mhm.
So I think they thought they were set with Lamoille, for example, but there's new data that's come up and now there's new conversations. So there's going to be evolutions through all these build outs
Mm.
till they're built out.
Yeah.
No, I was just sorry, I'm distracted. I was trying to see if I could find the meeting minutes on the VCBB website to see if, I guess at the end of the day, we'll have a quick conversation with Southern Vermont and see where they're at, make sure that our understanding is of their status is correct. So, Larry, anything from OCCUD?
OCCUD, see, we met August 9th, and attending our meeting, just kind of watching, was members from PEW Trust, that's PEW. They're doing some consulting for broadband build out in Virginia, and they've run into some problems, and they are interested to seeing how CUDs are working here in Vermont. And then getting back to Southern Vermont, yes, their construction grant application was tabled. There were some questions that came up that need to be answered and some tweaking. So that's ongoing. And again, yeah, it was tabled. As I said before, this November, it looks like in Chittenden County, we're going to have a new, several towns are forming together to form a new CUD. Getting back to the VCBB, they are short-staffed. And so they need help with grants and other things. So there are some members of VCUDA who are really sharp with all this, and they have offered to step forward and help VCBB with their staff shortage and grant writing. And VCBB will get back to VCUDA, those members, if they need their help. We talked about a mutual aid agreement with the CUDs that's being developed, and that's basically like municipalities have mutual aid agreements. The CUD would be basically if one CUD needed to build out something, couldn't find or couldn't get their hands on fiber optic cable, hardware, cabinets or something, and another CUD had some extra cable that they weren't going to use right away, then there'd be a mutual aid agreement where that could be cable or whatever could be sent to another CUD to keep them going. And then on, I had a short conversation with our representative, Jim Harrison, who represents Mendon, Chittenden, Killington, and now Bridgewater. They've been talking with other representatives in Rutland County, and they are concerned as to where we are and not having a partner yet, internet service provider, IPS. There's concern that grant money could be running out, so they may have an insight that they're not really sure, but I say, and I pass that on to the executive committee, that the legislators were concerned. Let's see. And getting back to Southern Vermont CUD, again, they have contracted with CCI. They have already completed their build out in Pownell and Bennington, and their build out is on track, and they expect to be completed completely by next year with the build out. One of the members of the CUD governing board that works on our budget is talking about the OCCUD dues could double next year and did not give a reason why. I think that's it. Yeah, Rob Fish, I guess, was on vacation, so we didn't have a lot of information from VCVB. So that's completed, I think. Have nothing else.
Larry, just I think folks would have seen the update that I emailed out to everybody. Part of the reason for behind that update was the conversation that we had with Larry about making sure we're informed about where we were going and what the status of things was. So Amanda for helping to put that together, and the getting the mailing list right. If there are folks who didn't get it who should, if you could just let me and Amanda know, we'll add folks to the distribution for the next time. Okay. Any questions for Larry or me or anyone else about the VCUDA or VCBP? Okay, thanks. Any other business?
I was going to jump in unless someone else wanted to speak. Two things. I had been asked to send out a survey to see about changing the meeting date and time, and wanted to let you all know there wasn't an overwhelming response one way or the other. Like the first Tuesday of the month got the most feedback, surprisingly, but by the most, I mean 4 people. So we had 11 people out of 18 or so respond. I guess 14 overall, including representatives. So it was really a response here or there. So there wasn't an overwhelming request or demand to change date and times. I would suggest keeping things as is because some people have adapted to it. However, if anyone feels differently, please let me know. But I can send you the graphs to show the distribution of preferences for dates and times. But again, at this time, there's not an overwhelming push for any new dates or times. At this time, does anyone have any feelings or requests?
Well, I sent back that I can't do Wednesdays. Because we have a DRB meeting every 3rd Wednesday.
Okay.
Only. So that is my concern, my only concern.
Okay, but the current time as it stands, you're able to make.
Yes, I can cheat on both ends a little bit.
Okay.
Right, it starts at 6 o'clock.
All right, well, we'll
Sure.
try to wrap this up quickly. Please email me then if anyone feels differently. And the other thing I wanted to add with other business, maybe this should have been part of the approval of the
Yeah,
agenda.
it should have been part of the agenda if we're going to approve the warrant. We probably need to do that because
So
we didn't have a quorum at the executive committee to approve the warrant, so we got to pay our bills.
I don't know if that's, do you need, you might need a motion then to amend the agenda to show and approve the warrant, and then you need a motion to, if everyone agrees.
Well, I think we can approve the warrant under any other business unless folks object.
No, that'd be fine.
It was sent out. Hopefully you can see my screen is the current breakdown. All these receipts are included in the warrant that Jackie very kindly put together. You'll see how the billing is broken down by the current funds available, remaining funds from Vermont Community Foundation, for which we're incredibly grateful, and remaining H315 funds. So motion is needed to allow Jackie to pay contractors.
I'll make a motion to approve the warrant dated August 10th, 2022 in the amount of $7,352.58.
Thank
I'll
you, Larry.
second.
Thank you.
Laura, did you get the first and the second?
Of who approved, no, who seconded it? Sorry.
I did. Andrew Quint from Chittenden.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thanks, Andrew. Okay,
Thank you.
sorry, any discussion on the approval of the warrant? Anybody want to see any of the, like Amanda said, it was all provided in the pre-read. Any questions, comments, concerns, discussion needed before we call for a vote?
Can you just say the amount again? I'll have it right here.
$7,352.58.
Thank you.
7352.58.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, hearing no discussion or no calls for discussion, I'd like to put it to a vote. All those in favor of approving the warrant for 7,005, can you put it back up?
Yes, sorry.
7,000, I lost it, $7,352.58.
Oh, that was it.
Signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no opposed, the ayes have it. The warrant's approved. Thank you, Amanda and Jackie, for the reminder.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll second that as well.
any discussion for the motion to adjourn?
No.
Just, did we confirm September 21st?
Oh.
Next meeting?
Yes.
Good. All right. Awesome.
And for
No
Mr. Chair, for future reference, a motion to adjourn is non-debatable.
Oh,
Okay, thanks.
All right.
Great. All those in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we are adjourned.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Aye.
My gavel out.
thank you.
Good night.
Everybody.
Hearing.
So Tony, I voted tonight because I think I am an alternate for Wells, so that's okay, right? Or whoever, you ran the meeting, so, okay.
Yeah, we
guess it was okay.
we had 10 definite confirmed members.
Oh, okay.
And, you're listed, Wells is listed as not having
I was gonna say,
official member. So if you are, if you're
Sharon
confirmed
Corey
by
hasn't
the
been a member?
select board, say again?
Yeah,